Oh,
Sorry,
yeah,
you're the
ready.
chairwoman.
When I put the chair.
Sam, are you ready to go on count?
Hi, Ms. Rita. Okay. All
Hi,
right.
Miss Bobby.
Good evening, everyone. I would like to call to order the District-wide Branding Initiative Committee meeting tonight. It is 6:35, and today we have present our committee members, none other than Mr. Albert. We have Miss Erica, and we have Mr. Chairman, Mr. Weldon, and Superintendent Testani. Thank you to all of our staff for making this happen, and to all of our guests as well. So we're just going to get right into it. Albert, not Albert. I would like to entertain a motion to approve the meeting minutes of our last branding meeting.
So moved.
All right.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any abstentions? Any abstains? Hearing none, we approve that. Any discussions? No? Okay, so let's get right into it. We're gonna start a conversation of updating and discussing our new student logos for the district. I know that we took some time to give our younger audience an opportunity to participate. So, yep.
Unfortunately, we did not get any submissions from the kids.
Okay.
So, from the younger kids, excuse me. So these are the logos that we have currently from our high school students.
Mm-hmm.
I believe it's in your board folder.
Mhm.
Yep.
Tim put it there for you. You have the digital versions, but you also have printed copies there. Blackboard, which is the district website redesign company, has a graphic designer on staff waiting for the decision on the logo so that they can, don't put it on for me, I don't mind. So that they can digitize it to make it how it needs to be up to level of a website,
Okay,
if that makes sense.
yes.
So when you guys determine which one you want, they will make it professional.
We've been in the process of redesigning the website over the past several months. It was a pet peeve of mine that I didn't care for the wasted space on the sides. It wasn't really that user-friendly as I saw some of the other websites. So we met with Blackboard about 2 months ago. They came to my office, actually. We went through some possibilities, got to see it up on the board and everything. So we are this close. Once we get the logo determined, we'll go live with the new website. It is really much more interactive, much more user-friendly for students and families, and more colorful. It's going to be right to 2022 standards.
Right, we've got a drone operator, a licensed drone operator, getting ready to take some
Aerial shots.
aerial shots of schools. So we've got some designs in mind, what we really want to highlight.
Awesome. Thank you for leading this. Ms. Erica, I'm not sure if you're familiar with the logo that we were trying to put together, but we presented it to the high school students, and in your package should be a folder of all of the logos that have been submitted. Now, the only thing I think next steps would be between our committee to decide how we want to go about selecting down to what we'll aim for, maybe the next steps. What do you guys suggest?
Can I ask, because I haven't been to a few of these.
Yes, sure.
I thought at the very beginning of this, we agreed that we were going to we would engage students in various campaigns that they could design things for, but for the general logo that would be adopted district-wide on a more permanent basis, I thought we were going to take more of an approach of discussing what we wanted the elements of the branding of the district to be and try to work from there. And I thought it was, I mentioned this at the very beginning of this, branding is not just a logo. It's
Right.
a lot of different things. And I've gone through this process before. And, things have to be taken into account like ability to reproduce on signage and digitally and a lot of other things. And it's taking into account fonts, colors, contrasts, and what we think the overall feeling of our image wants to be. And so for that reason, I thought we weren't going to be getting into a district-wide student competition where kids just throw in their ideas for a logo. We pick one and then we leave it at that. I thought we were going to be doing a little more than that, and that at the student level, we were going to allow them to be involved in different campaigns that would be offshoots of the bigger branding initiative.
That is it. That is literally what it is. I think what Mr. Benahan wanted to see is to make sure that the students were able to participate in the logo process. And then we would move forward from there. So that's why we have the logos here.
I don't know if you just joined, maybe you didn't hear Dr. Henry. Once we choose,
Yeah.
it's gonna go to Blackboard, and Blackboard, our web designer, is going to take it to the next level.
Yeah.
Through all the digitizing and the cleaning up of the process. This is going to be kind of a rough draft, so to speak.
And I think what we should consider also is that designer should work with the students. So if we like one of the designs, but it doesn't match thematically with where we're going, if the graphic designer can work with the student and explain why and that sort of thing, it's a great learning opportunity for the kids.
Yes. Does that make sense, Mr. Weldon? Everything you're talking about is still what we're aiming for, but we wanted to include the student in the whole process of the logo.
Because in the beginning, it was only elementary school, right? In the beginning, right?
It was just high school, and then we
High
opened it
school,
up.
sorry,
Yep.
and now you put, okay.
K-8. I think one of the concerns with some of the logos is we need to be sure that the images aren't copyright.
Correct.
They have to be independently created, and that's where Blackboard can really come in and help us with their graphic illustrator and their graphic designer to take the child's idea and really create a professional logo.
Yeah.
I guess it's just, I've gone through this process before. It doesn't, when I've done this before, it doesn't start with a logo.
We know that. This is kind of the discussion that we were having, months ago on the back, that we wanted to include a logo in it. This is just one part of where we are.
What other aspects of the overall branding process are anticipated?
We're just building it, so that we're literally in the very beginning stages of mostly everything.
So can I may I be recognized, Ms. Chair?
Yes, go ahead, Erica.
So I understand what Mr. Welding is saying, because typically there's a design discovery process that happens before we go to design, where there's several focus groups. And I think that's more along the lines of what you guys were sort of alluding to it in terms of student involvement, is that they would be involved in a focus group to express, what their desires are for a logo. And then I'm sure we would weigh in at some point about what messaging. I think that's kind of where I'm confused, because some of these representations here have different, they include different elements. So before, we go to design, usually there's some solidification in the design discovery process for exactly which messaging, like what's the slogan, what's the tagline, what's the, do we want to represent only as Bridgeport Public Schools, or are we okay to solidify down to an acronym BPS, and then colors, things of that nature before it goes to design. So here I see that we have already, not gone to design, of course, to the point that you were, to the extent that you guys were saying how after this point it goes to a professional designer. But I guess my question is, what information were the students provided to produce these logos that we're looking at? So
what we did was we That's a good question, because I think what it was is that we were trying to focus on the everyday every kid. Like we wanted, so here's the thing, the every day every kid logo was kind of been the slogan for the district, kind of been the theme of the district. So I guess more so we were building off of that, because I think that was the better adoption compared to what the city seal was presenting. So from there we were building up, and from that I was, as we continue to build, we would reflect that in some way. We didn't really want to change the messaging that, Mr. Testani has worked hard to create, and that's been the vibe of the district, but we haven't really even gotten that far in. So we're literally in still the beginning stages of mostly everything. So this is where we started.
Would you say that this is sort of the design discovery phase, and then when we take all the information to Blackboard, then they will sort of solidify into. So let me ask then, do we have to pick one of these logos, or can we use different elements from different logos?
So that was it. So we didn't start a whole planning process. This is just where we started. So from here, now we have a more of a direction of next steps. So from there, I believe that will be the really discussion of where we're going to move next. And no, we don't have to pick one. That's why we have a variety of all of them. Because Mr. Bennehead was very specific on making sure we kept our students involved in as much as possible. So I thought that was a good idea, because it's easier for them to feel proud of something that they were a part of. So that's kind of where we are.
Got it. Okay.
So now my goal is to entertain what our next steps that we would want to do or take from here moving on, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So hearing what you just said, like my concern was that, we were just going to like pick something, send it to Blackboard, and that was that. But if we're just going to use this as a jumping point to kind of hone in on where we want to go, I would suggest to find elements of the various logos that we feel are the best.
Agreed.
Not of any logo, but I mean, like particular colors, a color scheme.
Right.
Maybe the color scheme we like isn't the design we want to go with, but we know we like the colors. And just kind of find those elements and try to move it into that direction. And maybe once we have that, go to another stage of design where we say, okay, we know we're going to use these 5 elements. Let's try to refine this into something else.
Correct. That's what I'm hoping from our meetings that we move forward. That's kind of where we will be. So that's why we brought it back and extended a little bit longer for students to participate. But I didn't know how much of this did we want to involve the full board, or is that okay to just keep it where we are now? Because that was the next question is, are we just coming with the full package and saying, hey, this is what we came up with, and the full board had no participation in it?
Well, the full board has every ability to come to these meetings and watch and ask questions. I would expect this committee to take this process to the end so that you do come up with a finished product. And I would envision like a full branding guide that explains in what circumstances the logo is used in certain ways, and things like that. And then that gets sent to the full board for them to read through and ask questions and ultimately approve. But I think this forum, all the board members have every ability to attend if they're interested. And if they choose not to, and then at the end, they want to try to pull it apart, well, they had their opportunity.
Okay. Erica, go ahead.
So I used to do this. I owned a company called Brand Boost Design Company, Brand Boost Design Company. And the process, if I may make a suggestion, is typically, I would meet with the client. We would do a design discovery process. That's when they basically share all of the facets of brand development. Then I would do a brand kit, which is like Mr. Weldon mentioned, it's just variations of the logo, solidification of colors, so that they can see what it looks like together, what those elements look like together. And then once we agree on that, there's usually maximum revision. So I would, there would be two revisions, right? An agreed upon amount of times that we're going to go back to the drawing board and make edits. And then we move into the mock-up phase where, that's when the design kind of happens. So because there's already designs here, it's a little flipped where, typically, there's a design discovery and then there's the mock-ups, but here we have mock-ups and I don't know that we've done a proper design discovery. And so that's kind of where I am, where I think that we can maybe hone it in and decide, again, so the prompt for the students to make this design, where they just prompted to design a logo for Bridgeport Public Schools?
Yeah, so we gave them the freedom to be creative in however they wanted to, because this process somewhat has been done before. So there was no like specific, like you can't do this, you can't do that. We gave them freedom of expression to be able to do that. The initial thing that Mr. Weldon is talking about is that we wanted to be able to have a specific logo that will go on everything so it didn't change, but give students an opportunity to have something on, whether we would do a campaign, like a social emotional campaign, and then there will be a logo design for that particular campaign. But what happened was, as to why we got here is Mr. Benahan wants to make sure that when we do that we do open it up for all students to participate. That's why it kind of swapped a little. But where Mr. Weldon is talking about is the main goal where we're trying to reach. It's just the swap happened to make sure students were involved throughout the whole entire process, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But we could start where we could start there, because I think that's where we need to be. But I didn't want to not have them be included, because that is what,
Right. Yeah,
Mhm.
and they absolutely should be involved in the process, for sure. I just think that perhaps a focus group probably would have been the more appropriate route. However, we can kind of use, first of all, I should probably start by saying that these are excellent. Like the kids did a great job putting together, you see that there's some shared ideas amongst all the different logos that were created. So as a branding specialist, if I looked at this, I would know that, every kid, every day is a brand element.
Reflected, yeah.
Yeah. The Bridgeport Public Schools is obviously the entity. And there's a lot of alluding to academics. You have apples, books, children, planets, all kinds of cute, very, very well done. I like the multicultural hands with all the different colors. Like there's a lot of great elements that they've submitted. So I want to start by acknowledging their hard work and just share that piece that I think that still it's important to do a focus group, because we ourselves, this is my first meeting, so I'm not sure what conversations were had before me, but if there was such a focus group, typically there's some sort of like document that shows the style guide, basically. Of fonts, colors, what has been agreed upon, and I don't see that here. So my assumption is we don't yet have a style guide. Is that correct?
We don't.
Yeah. So I think a solid next step would be to solidify a style guide, because once you take it to Blackboard, they're gonna probe about the elements of our brand that we haven't solidified yet. So that might be a good next step, is to figure out, what elements do we want to see in the brand at large? And then of course you should use some of those elements, if not all, for the logo.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yep, Mr. Benahan.
Yeah, okay, so I want to just keep going for the next steps. What is going to be the next step to choice, how they're going to do, how we're going to do it, who's going to vote, who's going to be in charge, so
So what we're saying is, this is a step
Mhm.
in it, which we did include in, which is great. But the next step is to create a style guide that outlines the overall branding for the district. So this we won't vote on any of it. We'll take from it,
Yeah.
and then that will help build the overall brand for the district. Does that make sense?
Yeah, so who's gonna be?
So we won't know. That's up to us. That's up to us. But before we even get there, there's a few more steps that we would have to just.
But very important for me is that whoever is let's put it this way, like committee, whatever who's gonna make the vote and everything, I hope it's the children's being part of this.
Yeah.
Very important that children be part of this, not only staff or adults, but children, because I want the children to be part, they
Mhm.
enjoy, they say, oh my God, you know what, are we doing for Bristol School, stuff like that. It's very important in that part.
Yeah. That can be included. So did you hear him?
Yes, yeah,
Okay.
clearly.
Yeah.
Good microphone.
Yeah. So I didn't know because he has a mask on. So that's kind of where we are. So I'm willing to, to see where we can begin, where we need to begin, and then, keep everything that's incorporated with our students as a part of it. But I want to say thank you for making sure that they were.
It was not.
Yeah. Thank you for making sure that they were a part of it. I think that's going to be the most pivotal point. And as we look through all of them, it's going to be beneficial.
And you'll see trends in them. They certainly appreciate the every kid, every day slogan that came up repeatedly without the directive from us. So they clearly gravitate towards that. They
Yeah.
like the singular logo. There are trends that you could certainly take from this to help determine. And it is kid feedback, or it is kid input at that point, because we're taking what they produced and we're finding the
Yeah.
trends.
Like I said in the
You're
beginning,
finding it, yeah.
Mhm.
no child stay behind.
Yeah.
I'm just going to add that thanks to Dr. Henry for her work on this, that I feel proud that something that was started almost 3 years ago has trickled down already to the student body in terms of every kid, every day.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's where this kind of all started. It caught on so quickly, and the logo that is on, if you see any of the emails that are sent, and things on like Mr. Benahat's t-shirt, a school made, it's kind of trademark stuff that's around the slogan, and that's where I think Ms. Brown was instrumental in recognizing that we needed to put something out there that we own and that is ours. So, but it's obviously resonated with students, which in such a short period of time, I feel good that it's trickled down to something that they believe in, which is great.
Agreed. So I can facilitate a quick questionnaire if you guys are okay with that. That way we can kind of and I'll create a document here and I can send it to you, Bobby, afterwards. That just summarizes our thoughts based on the submissions that were provided.
That's perfect. That's
Okay.
perfect.
Okay, so is everybody looking at the logos and whatnot?
Yes, I think we've all seen them already. I think we were just waiting to see if we can include the lower grades, but pretty much we've all, I believe me and Mr. Bennett have went through most of them.
Yeah.
So it's just a matter of us just discussing where we're gonna go from there. But yeah, go ahead.
Okay, cool. So the solidified tagline here is going to be every kid, every day.
Correct. Well, that's kind of what we didn't want to touch because it has a good ring to it.
Yeah.
And Mr. Sestani was definitely feeling to keep it. So I agree that, I don't think me and Mr. Benahan disagree with this. So that's kind of like where we started at.
Yep.
So I thought it was good to keep.
Okay, good. Mr. Benahan or Ms. Brown, I guess we should start with you. Top 3 favorite elements in terms of graphics. So you see here, there's stars, there's handprints, trophy. I'm just scrolling through. Puzzle pieces, pencils,
Yeah.
books. So what 3 graphic elements are your top elements that you think are, express the brand well?
So for me, it has been the puzzle pieces. I thought that stood out a lot for me. Another one would be We always see the school apple, so I didn't really feel like the school apple was a thing, but I thought the clock, because we're saying every kid every day. So for me, it's like the timing of, the time that you're gonna have your turn over. So the timing of the school day to keep the reminding of that school is in session. And then the last one would be some type of image that really reflects the student body. So what the student body looks like. So,
Planet, globe, hands.
I was thinking more of kids.
Okay, kids.
I was thinking kids. So that was for me. And the reason why I say the three of them is that the time, because you have school, is reminding you that school is every day. The puzzle pieces were all connected in some way to the district, to the building, to the school, to the environment. And then lastly was the kids. What makes all those pieces work? The children.
Right.
So that was my three. Your turn.
So,
Well,
Mr.
Ms. Castillo, Mr. John, and everyone, I love all of it. They're amazing. I'm very proud of each of these kids. They did an amazing job. But of course, it's something that we have to pick. I really picked four, but I have one exactly I like because they represent part of the school. I feel like they represent outplacement at the same time. I don't know if you see the one that said Bristol Public School. They have a person in the red side. They have two hands yellow. They say every kid, every day. And the side say is green. What the poster look like outplacement. I don't know if you see it.
Wait, which page is it on? I'm looking for it.
Oh, I should have numbered them.
14.
Can you see it from? Can you see it from here?
Oh, hold
14.
on. Sorry, let me see.
Sorry, John.
Page 14.
Page 14.
Okay.
Okay,
Well,
hold on.
for
Yeah,
me,
go ahead.
all of it, I loved all of it, and I agree with what Miss Brown said about the time too. But this one have colors from the high schools. They have autism at the same time. They have the kids' hands like they're ready to work and study. In other words, every kid every day. And then the also feel like they need another one. Sometimes the autism stuff have like another like a.
Autism awareness is a puzzle
Yeah,
piece.
exactly.
That's their logo.
So just because, hang on, Miss Brown. So just because we have things,
Kind of on the same.
yeah. You see the one I'm talking about, Miss Castillo?
Yes, I do see it.
Okay.
Okay, so for you, did you say puzzle pieces?
Yeah.
Okay, so puzzle pieces. That was one. I missed the other two. Or did you only share one?
No, that's one. And the other one, I'm agreeing what Miss Brown said about the clock.
Yep.
It says right on time, Connecticut, Bridgeport Public School.
Yep.
And the other one is, I don't know, let me tell you what page it is, so I'll be sure you don't get confused, get lost. Give me 1 second. Page 28.
28, yep.
Sorry, 29.
29. Yep.
It's all green and they have, but my question is the green side, like they have nothing, empty. They have, feel like they can put stuff.
So the student actually submitted 3 of those, and if you look on the next page, I believe there's a sequence where they put one with the
Christmas and the other one.
There's the chalkboard, there's the holidays, which we would probably want to consider making winter versus something religious, and then the fall. So their thought was that you could switch the logo up, or you could decorate the logo.
I was thinking like a decorate with math, numbers, books, stuff like. Yeah, background. You see that, Ms. Castillo and Mr.
Yes,
John?
I do see that. It's like a chalkboard.
So I feel like the background put something about school, books, pencil, anything, and this is my favorite, I love all of them, but this is more for me than I like more.
So is your third item going to be the green chalkboard, or is it going to be the books?
So from
The first one.
What element in this you want to take from it?
No, to add in the background over here.
So
around.
it's a chalkboard.
Yeah, the chalkboard.
Okay, yeah,
And
the chalkboard.
like add like numbers, maths, multiple, numbers, books, stuff like that. Everything what we have, in the school.
Got it. Okay. I'd like to hear Mr. Testani weigh in.
Of course.
So what three
Um,
elements, Mr. Testani, do you think really resonated with you? Top three.
Well, obviously, my slogan that I feel strongly about,
Yeah, every kid, every day. We have that already. We're just focusing on icons,
Yep.
graphics.
I think the puzzle pieces to me represent how everyone fits together, and also it could represent, inclusion as it does with our kids on the spectrum.
Yep.
Obviously, having primary colors in the whole component seems to be something that stands out.
We haven't gotten to colors yet. That's the next
Oh,
one.
I'm sorry, I didn't know. Okay, gotcha.
Icons, just icons. Any images that you think.
I think anything that puts children and that represents our diverse community is important.
Diverse.
Maybe the globe. Maybe the globe.
Okay, yeah, that's good. I also like the globe. If I could.
Yeah.
And as you talk about a globe, maybe a globe that has a graduate's cap on it,
So graduation.
because obviously the goal is to graduate all our students, so that they have opportunities beyond our pre-K-12 system.
Right. Okay. I like that. So the puzzle pieces definitely seems to be a common denominator. For me, the globe or something that represents diversity is important. So I'm gonna put for my three, I'm gonna put definitely a globe, something academic. I like the graduation hat because it demonstrates outcome. Graduation cap, and then yeah, and puzzle pieces. It could be that our logo becomes a globe
puzzle piece
made out of puzzle pieces with a little graduation cap on it.
That's interesting. I like that.
That's a good one.
Yeah, I'm gonna write it down.
No, it's not a number.
Oh, okay.
Okay,
Like,
but
I'm looking, okay, what she talking?
No, it's not a number.
Okay.
You're just throwing out like what they all can combine together look like.
okay, so globe made out of puzzle pieces with graduation cap could be a concept, but that's later. But next, we're gonna move to colors. So, Bobby.
So I'm big on. I'm
Actually,
yep.
yeah. You can list off however many colors you'd like.
So for me, the gold and the blue, I don't know. I don't even know if that's even a thing for us, but I feel like gold and blue seems to be a thing in the district. Yeah, I don't know. So gold and blue, and then I'm gonna throw in green. I mean, any primary colors, like Mr. Testani said, but the ones that seem to just pop out a lot, it seems to be like the gold, the blue, and the green.
All right, great. And then Albert or Mr. Benahan.
In colors.
I prefer that trying to mix the colors we have in the schools. I know we got different colors of the uniform, stuff like that, but our kids start elementary and they finish high school. So I, like to have the colors from the high school. Like you did amazing job. Yeah, you did amazing all your job, and then you go to high school. This is the color you represent, for each kid, whoever go to each high school.
So are you saying like hardened blue,
green, blue, yeah, red, yeah, and Fairchild.
And then Fairchild.
Fairchild is
You could put some yellow in there.
Yeah, some yellow.
White, yeah, and green and red and blue.
Yeah.
All right, hold on. So I have yellow, green, red, blue.
Blue. I think that's all of them.
Yellow, green, red, blue.
Because
and there's a little bit of orange in some of the Fairchild logo as well. So an orange. So really you're covering almost the entire primary colors.
Yeah. Okay. And then did you want to add anything? For you, Mr. Testani, I have primary colors.
Yeah, I'm fine with what has been suggested. I think it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, Mr. Weldon. I'm like looking at this one screen over here. I forgot you there. What I want you to weigh in also.
Yeah.
Do you have any
Well, the primary colors are good.
Yep.
Everybody needs to go into this, I think, with the understanding that you need to use colors that are easily reproduced.
Yep.
Not everything can be reproduced, the way we do on a computer printout. There are some production elements that if you were to like make a sign, certain shades would be difficult for a sign maker to make without you really paying a lot for it. So
Sure.
I think we need to keep it at the primary colors.
Yep.
You don't want to put fuchsia in there?
I mean, I think it's pretty good at sticking to.
Just joking.
I didn't hear you.
I said you don't want to put fuchsia?
Fuchsia, no fuchsia, no pink.
Okay.
Yeah, hold on,
And
Erica.
also mindful of how certain colors reproduce on a black and white copy.
Paper, yeah.
Like
Right.
red becomes
So
black.
the red is gonna look black.
So certain, it's to keep in mind. So to try to keep it as basic so that the logo maintains
Clean.
its attractiveness, no matter
Yes.
how it's reproduced.
All right. Well, so then let's just narrow
But
down.
these colors are good. I'm just saying.
Yes, agreed, agreed.
Basic.
Hold on, Eric, before you go, Mr. Bennett, wants to share.
Yeah, Miss Michelle and everyone, Miss Castillo. You know the logo on the one we had up page 29?
Yes.
Can you go there for a second?
Hold on one second. 29. Yes.
All right, you see the background stuff like that. Everything we just talked and stuff like that. That will be nice. I don't know. I'm thinking to put it around, leave it the way that it is, and then all the colors, anything of this, everything. I was thinking, so you can add everything we were talking, change a few things like that. It will be nice too. Because you see in the middle, we have everything about morning, graduation, the school, and everything. So I'm just saying, if you can add around the circle, everything we were talking about, color, stuff like that. Especially, stuff. I'm just saying, if you can, science it. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I see what you're talking about. So
Okay.
my only feedback about having a background on a logo is that sometimes, for example, if you want to make let's say like if you need transparent backgrounds sometimes.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you can't put that like on coffee mugs. Like
I know, I understand.
Right.
Yeah.
So like you can put a graphic, like if it's in a square, you can, and it has a background, like with certain things you can, but with other things you need like a vector image that has, transparency. So I'm a little concerned if we end up putting a logo, with anchor it to a permanent background, that it might lose opportunity to be showcased in certain ways,
Yeah.
I think it's got to have something that can have a transparent background that it can be used in multiple ways. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I understand.
You had also pointed out, so, we have the graduation app that seemed to be a consensus. This looks like an academic building, and then we have. So, I mean, I think that with the book, say again?
You're frozen, Miss Castillo. You're frozen.
Oh no, I'm frozen. Can you
Let
hear
it
me?
go.
No, we don't hear you.
I'm wondering if you have to like log out and log back in. Maybe
No,
it'll work.
now you're frozen. Now you smile. Smile.
At least she's smiling.
I have to log out and log back in.
Yeah. All right, so we understand.
I mean, I'm grateful that she's being our scribe for us.
Yeah.
But that's kind of a good start, till she gets back on, to where it's gonna go. I know that that having it as a vector image is not a vector image, but having it as a transparency is gonna be so important for anything that we put it on. See, this one is a good one too, because when they pulled the white out of it, they can put it on anywhere.
Yeah.
So that's going to be very important. And then also like the signage that Mr. Weldon talked about, because my dream, and this is probably not everyone's dream, is to see this everywhere. Because when I talked to the people that, the team that's doing the billboard, that was one thing that they were concerned about. How could they move the image across, and is it going to be clear enough? Because there's a lot of vector images on that which is great.
Mhm.
But when you blow it up on a billboard, it looks pixelated.
Yes.
So the image that we create or the logo that we go for needs to be one is blown up that it fits and pops off of anything.
Right.
Because people, to me, if you're looking from the highway, it just looks like a circle of colors. But I know, because we work in the district, that it has a whole bunch of things that, represents every day, every day.
Good point.
And then we don't want nobody got an accident watching the logo or like in your driving.
Yeah.
It's, oh my God, see the cut,
Yeah.
they're gonna blame the board, ma'am, publication. Yeah.
I wonder, did she log out and log back in?
Probably. I think it's important, you're right, as we try to put this on T-shirts, on mugs, on whatever, that it's clean.
Yeah.
You want to make sure that it's simple enough so that a quick glance by someone, they know exactly what it is.
Correct.
Just a quick,
Correct.
if you're on 95 and you've only got 3 seconds to see a picture on a billboard, the image you see, you know exactly what it is. There's not a lot of text to read. It's just the image stands alone.
Absolutely.
Think of the IBM logo and how simple it is.
Yep.
There you're back.
Oh,
You're back. We can hear you, but you're not moving. But
That's okay. Can you hear me?
yeah, we can hear you. Go ahead.
Yeah. At least the background picture,
Okay.
you always just like.
You have a good
smiling.
picture up here.
Yeah, you're smiling.
Okay, great. So there's one last section. It's they're basically buzzwords. So if you could pick, oh my goodness, that is so funny. My face is just stuck smiling. That's great. Okay, so the last is buzzwords. So if you can imagine 3 impressions that you would like for people to experience when they look at the brand, what 3 words stand out to you that you want the branding to be able to convey?
For me,
Bobby.
the first one I would say is fun, because I think in the district we have to some way or another continue to keep kids engaged by but encouraging them that everything that they're doing is fun. Education is fun. It's strict, but it's fun. So fun is one of them. Creativity. I think creativity will be one, because I think our district has a lot of talent in everything that we do. So I think creativity is one. And then, let's see, fun, creativity, future. There's a future. And a student.
Right.
And
Joe Wonder say you don't want future.
no, he said yes. Okay, sorry. Albert's picking on you, Mr. Weldon.
You say you don't like future, that's why.
All right, that's mine. Albert.
Okay. Albert. 3
I'll
words.
start with, I'll start with the first one, successful.
Yep.
The second one, I'll say, power.
Yep.
And the third one, I would say communication.
Communication. Excellent. Those are great buzzwords. Mr. Testani?
It's tough. Grow.
That's a good one.
Which one?
Grow.
Oh, grow.
Wait, hold on. Did you say growth?
Grow. GROW.
Okay, grow. Yep.
Inclusion
Yep. Great.
and diversity.
And diversity. Excellent. Very good. Mr. Weldon?
I would say friendship,
Yep.
foundation,
Yep.
and the future.
Okay.
Hey, future got 2, Mr. Weldon.
All right, good. And I'm going to say diversity, integrity, And success. Okay. All right, good. So these are good sort of buzzwords because or it's good to solidify the way that you like the impression that you want to make on your viewer, because those are things that can be incorporated into the brand as well, especially when it comes to developing messaging. Not that I think we're really looking to stray from our messaging, but also, that could be interpreted into physical elements that get brought into, say, a logo or what have you. All right. So this is a very short sort of version of what a focus group might do. So I'll go ahead and type these up, Bobby, and I'll send them over to you. And then I think we could probably use this information, both the logos that the students submitted and our focus group conversation, the notes from this, to share with, I guess, Blackboard for the next stages of development with the logo. They'll probably want to do another focus group with you, Mr. Testani, to kind of narrow it down more, because at this point we're still pretty broad, even though we've narrowed it down to a scope, and then we'll see what they come back with.
Correct.
Is Blackboard only expecting to take a finished product and refine it for the web? Because I feel like we should have somebody who's maybe a design professional developing this as we discuss it. And then once that gets finalized, then Blackboard would take it and make it applicable to being able to be used on the web. So I don't know that we want to dump all this on Blackboard to take it that far at this stage.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Hold on. Go ahead.
I believe you're right. I think they are looking for a product to take and make more professional so that it works on the website. So we might need to actually produce some sort of image.
Right.
Okay.
So then we need to figure out how we're going to go about getting a designer. I know that, Mr. Weldon, the last time that we were all talking, that we had a teacher in the district. I don't know if that's still an option.
I mean, he is a production. I mean, we do have.
So there are a couple of art teachers that are well versed in graphic design and Adobe Photoshop and that kind of thing. And I don't want to speak for them, but we could certainly ask if they would help develop something based on.
What do you guys think about that?
I'm okay with that because, we got the staff exactly. They're working with us and they know they're professional. They can.
And they know the kids.
Yeah, and they know how the kids they want and everything. And they with us, so they can sit down and then from there they can let you know. They let them know they're signing us, how everything works, how everything.
Erica?
I guess let me ask is, and I don't mean to be too much here, but does this committee have a budget?
No.
No.
Okay. Okay.
We do have some money, so it's not that we won't be
The
able to.
superintendent can make financial things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I think too, that was probably, I'm not saying that we wouldn't support the teacher, but I think initially we wanted to keep it, if we have someone within the district that was willing to create it. I think we talked about that at one point in time. And then I believe that's what we talked about, Mr. Weldon.
Yeah.
In the beginning.
I think you're at the, you have the student input. They provided some things that we can kind of draw from, but then I think at some point, and maybe this is the point, where you want to elevate it to a professional who has the real skill set to refine it,
right,
to where it's a professionally produced piece.
Correct.
Yeah. So I guess that's sort of my concern with doing it through a you know, someone who, for example, if their full time is teaching an art class, you know, like this is a pretty mammoth undertaking for somebody who like designs part time or what have you. I do think that in order for it to be a well produced piece, we probably should hire a designer. And but there's, you know, obviously there would be a cost involved in doing that.
Here's what I would suggest, and I kind of understand what you're saying, Erica.
Mhm.
You know, maybe get some hourly rate quotes from some local graphic people.
Yep.
A rate sheet, and get kind of an understanding from them of how much time they think it would need to be dedicated to something like this. And they may come back with you with a fairly minimalist initial budget to get you to the next level. And I don't anticipate this getting to the point where it would need to go through contracts or anything. But, you know, if a designer is charging, I don't know what it goes for these days. It's been a long time since I procured a designer. But if a designer is charging $150 an hour, and they say, you know, I could have this in 20 hours. Well, that's a pretty small sum. You could just run with that. And I think that there would be a real value there.
Right.
So,
Agree.
Do you think, Testani, you could try to
Yeah.
get some rates and get just kind of some mini proposals?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Yeah, I think that would be good. Most designers have their own processes for how they you know, so they're probably going to do a very similar, you know, process for developing it before they go to design. But once they're designing, you know, then they'll be able to show us some mock-ups, and then it'll be a very constructive conversation from there also.
Yeah.
Correct.
And I think even those folks, because they're involved in, you know, web design and other forms of production, so they'll be well versed with that to be able to come up with something that they'll be confident you can use this on a website, you can use this on a building, you can use this here or wherever, and it's not going to be complicated.
Right.
Correct.
Okay.
Mr. Albert had something. Go ahead, Albert.
I understand what Mr. Warden, what did he say? But Mr. Testani, we have people, you know, our district, you know, staff that can check this logo, right?
Well, I mean, we have some people that are familiar.
Of course, you know, we have, because you're talking, you know, paying somebody from my side. Let's say you say $150 for 20 hours. We're talking about $3,000 that we really have our staff here. You know, they're doing the job. Like you said, you can sit down.
I think that excuse me, I think that logo design is a very specific skill. And so while we have art teachers that are highly skilled in graphic design and that kind of thing, I'm not sure about logos. They're high quality teachers. They're great working with kids. They're great at facilitating. I don't know. I do think that they're incredibly talented artists in their own right. I'm just unsure of, a logo is a very specific skill set. I think that if we can get a local artist who would be willing to maybe help us and maybe cut us a break on the cost, because it is for a great organization. Ideally, we use a local artist in Bridgeport to really bring the community into part of this design. That might be something valuable too.
I just suggest, Ms. Brown, that before we get that step to have our staff check, you know, everything. I know we have few, you know, they can sit down and check our logo, stuff like that. And then maybe they can make suggest to you, Mr. Testani, let them know, listen, I think so the logo had to go somebody from outside, or they can say, listen, this logo is fine. We decide the group this logo is correctly.
What we're saying, yes, I hear what you're saying. There isn't a logo as of yet.
No, I know. We're talking about, you know, to try to save money.
Are you saying that you want them to design based off of what we?
No, look, let's see whoever the logos are gonna design, right? Not this take. And then let's give a sample. We got 6 teachers here. They work in the art and design and stuff like that. Let the 6 teachers sit down and talk and see. And maybe they can say, listen, this logo is fine. Or they can say, maybe they can suggest, and let them know you also start, listen, send to this person, you know, outside. You got my point?
Sure, I will absolutely ask.
Much better, they can fix anything before we take somebody outside.
So what you're saying is, we can, if Mr. Sassani comes up with a couple people,
Mhm.
they help design, we find one person design and bring it back to the teachers and let the art teachers have a say into what they like and dislike about the logo? Is that what you're saying?
No, not exactly. I'm like, I want to say before we bring it to somebody outside, let our staff from Bristol School check the people, the professional, the art teacher and design, they can see the logo or somebody from outside, we get paid somebody from outside.
So, okay, there isn't a logo at all, right?
No, I know it's not, but I'm talking when they have, when whoever decide, the vote. You got my point?
Can I make a suggestion?
Yeah.
Because I hear what you're saying, Albert, and I think that a good way to organize this might be to pursue the route of hiring a professional designer. But in our first meeting with the designer, there's usually several rounds of revisions.
Correct.
So perhaps we can invite some of those teachers to participate in the first round of revisions, so that we can get the teachers a voice, and qualified teachers that really understand sort of what we're doing here, what this project is, and where we're trying to go with it. And then we, we'll move into the next phase. But I agree with you that I think it'd be great to get a teacher's perspective or a teacher to weigh in, and these would make excellent teachers. Again, this is sort of like a focus group, right? So in the second, in the first revision, we can invite them to come in to that meeting, and they can provide their feedback along with ours to the designer, and the designer would go and do that revision and come back with a more polished product.
Yeah. Of course, yeah, that's exactly, Mr. Castillo. Thank you. And that's because before we see somebody outside, let's take our staff there. We have amazing people here.
Okay.
Agreed. Okay, great.
All right. So because this is going to be a continual process. I don't know if you guys feel about adding another element at our next meeting. At our next meeting, we'll continue the next element process. What do you think, Ms. Castillo?
I think that.
Yeah.
I think, Mr. Tani, if you wouldn't mind coming back to the next meeting with some designers, or that we reach out to or select.
I would suggest, like I mentioned before, find a few that are local, ask them to provide a rate sheet, maybe some samples of past work in this kind of thing that they can present to us. And then based on a combination of what their rates are and the quality of work that they've had in the past, you can make a selection of someone who would just be on call for this kind of helping us take this where we want it to go. This isn't like a defined contract. You're going to go out and make a logo. No, you're our design professional. You're just going to kind of help us as we need you to with staff inclusion.
Yes.
Okay.
I think that's the smart thing to do.
Yep. All right, so I have to believe everyone's in agreement of that. And I know there's quite a few steps. I think once we hear back from that, Mrs. Hastani, I think that'll give us a better idea of where we should move into next. I know that the style guide is going to be super important. So I don't know if you guys want to add that, something we can focus on at our next, because I like this whole brainstorming session. So I think that's going to be, because the logo is going to take a while. So there's still elements of this that we have to complete. So I'll make sure that our next meeting, we add style guides, our brainstorming session for us to be able to work on. What do you think about that, guys? Yeah?
Okay, yeah, I'm okay.
Mr. Weldon, Miss Erica? Okay.
I think that the style guide is developed by the designer also.
Yeah.
Because that's another, that's another asset. That's something that they're going to have to produce. But again, I do think that comes after meeting, choosing a designer and then meeting with the selected designer, and then they'll.
So we just wait on them.
Yeah. So you're on the right track, but I think it comes after we bring in the designer.
Perfect. All right.
Yeah. So in our conversations with the designer, Mr. Tastani, we might want to, share up front that, the what do you call it? The assets that we're going to need. We're going to need a logo. That's definitely the primary thing, but that we'll also need a style guide.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. All right. I think that's good.
All right, thank you, Sharon. I appreciate it, and we'll keep the students updated as well, for any other involvement that we will need from them, but I think we're
Sounds good. And I'll get hold of our teachers and let them know that we're going to be asking for their input in the future.
perfect.
That's always very professional.
Thank you.
Thank you. And please tell the students what an excellent job they did.
Yes,
They did
yes.
amazing. We are very
When
proud.
this is all over, we get it all finalized, maybe we can have some sort of recognition of them all and the role they played in getting us where we're ultimately going to wind up.
Definitely.
Yeah, we talked about that as well, and I don't know if you guys still feel the same. I still want to include like what we were talking about, the campaigns for social emotional learning. I still want to be able to do it because from that we can include this on the students level as well. And that I remember Mr. Tastani speaking that we put out an annual calendar, things like that. Their work could be highlighted on. So just keeping that in mind.
Great. That's good.
And thank you, Erica, for being our scribe and
Oh, you're
drafting
welcome.
us through this.
Yeah, I look forward. I'll definitely put it together and I'll send it to you.
Perfect. The next thing is that we're going to talk about is update. We already did that discussion and possible action on support for the new school billboards for increasing student attendance in the district. So I had an opportunity to work with Miss Rochelle. Oh, she's here. Oh,
You're here. Your crew's here.
Erica, I know that you're new to this, and Mr. Benahan, but as we were planning on like creating some branding and pushing out some stuff for the district, one thing that we thought about was including, they're already working on a project that involves the new billboards that are happening for attendance. So I know that when we last talked, we talked about different ideas to improve it, and Erica's on the team as well. So I think it would be really great that you can share where we are, what we're doing, and how we can add to it. I know the last thing that we talked about was adding the hashtag BPT schools, and then also getting a photographer to get real life pictures, not stock images of our students, but so students could be able to recognize themselves on school billboards and things like that. So that's kind of where we left off, Erica. And Albert and Mr. Weldon, but I want to bring them because I thought this would be great if anyway the committee can support you and see where you guys are.
Absolutely. I'll let Lynn talk about the details, but thank you for inviting us. I think when Mr. Tastani said, you should reach out to Bobby because it's perfect timing, Ms. Brown. It's perfect timing right now with all this rebranding and us developing these billboards and student engagement. And I know that I can speak for Lynn when we met with you. It was just like all of a sudden it was this huge brainstorming session facilitated by you. We listened, but it was just really helpful and gave us some really great ideas. And so I think moving forward, this aligns perfectly with the work that we're doing with student engagement. So, but I'll let Lynn talk about the actual billboards.
Absolutely. And Carly pretty much just said everything I was going to say. And the respect is thank you very much because you really kind of got the ball rolling. And from there we took off. So I'll pass around what the billboard currently looks like. Sorry, I don't have copies, but please take a look. This is a digital billboard, so it's nice. We can change it at any moment. We've talked with Ms. Brown about when we do develop a new logo, that we can update the billboard with the new logo. We have the billboard running through mid-April, so we have plenty of time for revisions. Our next phase is to implement school and student photos on the billboard. So actually this week I'm going to roll out a form for administrators to complete where they can submit photos once they have releases, and they can post those photos up on the billboard of their school or their students in action. We talked about that, right? super excited about that. One of the other items that we discussed at the present time was Mr. Testani just released the first quarter recognition awards. We thought it'd be great to put the awards up on the board with student photos as well. So we are working with the narrative project for the creative piece of it. They're in the process of converting that into a format that would be represented clearly on the billboard.
Perfect. And I know that, I don't know if you guys, Erica, can you see that? Did you get a copy of this? No, we'll make sure that we add it to, and you too, Mr. Weldon. Mr. Testani did send it via email. You did send it.
Yeah, I've seen that.
Yes, he did send it via email. So it's probably in your email if you haven't seen it. One thing that we was thinking of too is just we want to keep it, highlighting students that may have had perfect attendance or highlighting students that are, doing well with attendance. So I thought about, this was just my suggestion. You guys can agree, disagree. Also adding to like maybe some statistics every once in a while. I know we talked about that as well. To be able to highlight how many of our students are back going to school, to show the, I think a number that, really hits it and it says, oh my God, like I'm one of those 97% or whatever. That was just one of my suggestions. But other than that, I want to open it up to anyone if they had any ideas that can help support them. I think it would be really good. I'm really excited about this because I think right now in the COVID climate that we're in, students want to feel, honored and appreciated, but we also too want to remind them how important it is to see them in our buildings. So that's kind of where I am. But Mr. Albert, Erica, Mr. Weldon.
Yeah, thank you, Ms. Brown. Question: is this board it's gonna be the same one, or they're gonna be changed?
Changes.
They change it, and my most important thing, we gotta know the price. How much you're gonna be charging, for district? How much gonna be? That's every time they change, it's gonna be a price. It's gonna be the same price for how long? How many months?
The price is consistent throughout the year. I should say it changes when we change the location of the billboard because some locations are more expensive than others, as you can imagine. But the price for each location is consistent. We can change the billboard as many times as we want because it is digital.
Yeah.
One of the topics that we've discussed is that we'd like to keep a continuum so that there's some consistency on the billboard. So we have several taglines that we will continue to use. Of course, the Bridgeport logo as well will continue to be used. But we can change the pictures, we can change different ideas. And that's one of the appealing pieces of the digital billboard is that, even if somebody doesn't have a suggestion tonight, maybe 2 days from now, somebody will think of something and they can share that and we can make updates after we discuss it.
And that's what call it for 12 months or 10 months?
Excuse me?
For 10 months or 12 months?
It's through mid-April.
Sorry?
It's through mid-April.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Now, how much money we're talking about? Is the whole, how much money they?
For every 6 weeks is $4,000.
The board's not paying any.
It's no
Right.
cost.
No, it's
This
not.
is through a grant from the
Okay.
department.
And part of the grant requirements is attendance campaigning.
And
And so this is how we're fulfilling a piece of that.
No, but I want to be sure because I don't want people, they talk about this coming from the budget, from the student's budget and stuff, stuff like that. They always, they always say something, oh, they're using the student money. So I want to be clear, like you say, it's coming for the grant, so be sure, for the record, like, I don't want people come later say, oh, they're using the money, they always, we always, this is, well, you say it's $4,000 every 6 weeks. It's the truth. It's the truth. So you say every 6 weeks they charge you for the grant for $4,000.
That's correct.
Okay.
The other piece of it is that we have made some revisions to the grant per the state request. And we're able to increase the capacity of the billboards. And our goal is to represent the billboard also in Portuguese and Spanish as well. So
Nice.
do that. We just had it translated, so that should be up and running.
Right.
That's really good.
Nice.
Erica, Mr. Weldon, I'm sorry, Ms. Castillo, any questions, any ideas? Because, she said they can update anytime. So if you want, we can use this meeting as an opportunity to throw out some ideas for like the next one that you would want to add up there. If not, this just is an introduction, but if not, you're more than welcome. We can always throw some stuff, put some stuff together. But I think it's really, really great so far.
I don't see the email, so I don't have it in front of me, so it's hard to make suggestions on how to improve, you know?
Oh, sorry.
May have come out before you got a BOE email.
I'll find it.
Yeah, if you can forward it to me, if you have it in front of you and you can
Let me
forward
see.
it to me, that would be great.
He's doing it now.
Okay, cool. So, but I did have a question. So the billboard that's up right now, when did that go live?
That went live at the end of November 29th, actually.
Okay, so it's been up since November 29th and it's going to run through to April, correct?
Yep, April 11th.
Okay, great. Awesome. So let me just take a look.
The location will change. It was initially represented on Route 8. You could see it southbound on Route 8. It's currently northbound on 95,
Yep.
right near, you may have seen it.
Is it a
Sorry,
picture of a little
I didn't hear
girl?
you.
Yeah.
I didn't hear you.
Yep, with
Yeah.
The
pigtails.
little girl on the right.
Yeah, okay. I've seen it. I've seen it just driving. It's I think is she like Hispanic, like a younger Hispanic?
Yes.
Sorry, Ms. Lynn, you said where exactly is the logo?
It is on 95 northbound, and it is near South Avenue.
Okay, yeah. I'm familiar with the billboard. I will say I did see the billboard and I had a pang for more diversity because you know we've essentially tokenized one child as like the face, you know, and if we have another opportunity to revisit that, which you mentioned, you know, that we'll hire a photographer to take some photos of our kids. When we do that, we want to provide the photographer with some instruction to have multiple kids, if possible, of different ages or different racial backgrounds, so that the photography that we use on our billboards accurately reflects the students that we serve. And it's always hard to do that because you're never going to get everything, right? But as long as there's at least 3 students, then you can get some diversity. Oh, you also want gender diversity? You want
Racial
boys,
backgrounds, so that the photography that
feedback here. Okay, yeah, that would be my only feedback. Just based off my like mental recollection of the board, is that the next time we do a revision, that we include multiple faces of our students and be intentional about the inclusion aspect of it.
Absolutely. Noted. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Mr. Benham?
Yeah, so before we done, I'd like to your opinion about the logo. What do you think about the logos? I know you'll be part of, our students and parents. I just wanted, how you feel?
I haven't seen all of the logos.
Okay.
You put them on
Just fine.
But I do like the concepts that you were coming up with the globe and the inclusion, and we're also working on talking about the vision of a graduate and what that looks like and kind of building that out as well. And so I think it kind of encompasses that in the logos as well, what our vision of a graduate is. So. And I love that you included the students in the beginning steps, because they'll know that they were, from the ground, building it up, they were a part of it. So I think that was really special.
And you, Lynn?
I have not seen the logos, but just in listening to everybody speak, I think the only what I would add is something about connection, relationship, because that's really something that we're trying to promote, and we know is very, very important to engage with our families. So something with relationship.
All right. All right, thank you. I'm sorry, coming from nowhere, but I just wanted to.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you for sharing.
Yes. So one thing that I also added, we added the hashtag. So that's also going to be great to be able to use on a lot of our materials and things like that. So that whatever pictures, whatever posts or anything that's put up about Bushwick Public Schools, they can click on the hashtag and they'll see everything and anything, especially when it comes to this particular project. But other than that, I think all the suggestions that everyone shared, I think was really great. I'm excited to see all of them. I've been following as many as I could. So yeah, Mr. Benham. I'm sorry, you're sitting on this side.
I know, I just come in for just for no, and I asked Mr. Testani. Mr. Testani, you didn't think if this board, I don't know, that they had to do the message, it's really small. They can have later all those logos so people they can know all the logos that Bristol School student did.
Can you repeat that? It's hard with.
In this board, we can have all the logos, what all the Bristol School did. Not the one we're gonna pick up, like I have all of it in one page. I don't know, I'm asking.
I see what you're saying. You're asking if there's any way for us to be able to showcase the submissions. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, like we have all the logos, all the students did.
Yeah, that's not part of,
That's project.
that would not qualify for expenditure from the grant. It is
Okay.
to promote student attendance,
Mhm.
not to promote student work. So,
Okay.
so
All right.
that's why it's all focused on,
Attendance.
school back in session to encourage and nudge families to improve upon. So, because our chronic absentee rate has been something we've been working on. We were making great strides pre-pandemic, and unfortunately, the pandemic has put a damper on that. But we're continuing, and as everyone heard last night, there are a lot of success stories, especially around pre-K and some in different areas. So we want to continue this work, and this funding has given us this opportunity to be able to be wider in our approach in terms of messaging to the community.
All right, I just bring it. But thank you, Mrs. Testani.
I just have a question. So I know RISAP is on here. Is that the partner that we're partnering with?
That's
Okay,
correct.
cool. Did they have a say in any of it? Or
They offered feedback as well.
okay, good. All right. That's pretty much it. What I would like to do is, like, as maybe not every meeting, but every once in a while we check in with you to see what if anything comes up that we can add or support you on this. But other than that,
Absolutely.
thank you for
That'd be
coming.
great.
Sounds good.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks for participating, Bobby, with this.
Oh, we had a good conversation.
You guys had a good time, it sounds like.
Yeah. Thank you. So then the next, the next agenda item.
Discussion, thoughts of action, Superintendent Testani,
Yeah.
social media district.
We did resume on December 7th, Facebook Live at 5:30 PM. So it's been really great from my office, Tim Grasty, in our social media marketing and campaigning. So the Facebook Live didn't go over that well. I think could have been the time of the year, 232 views.
Mm-hmm.
But we do have some really positive feedback in terms of how we're marketing ourselves and things that are happening in Bridgeport Public Schools. In the last 28 days, and that includes the break, so it's even more encouraging, we've seen a 238% increase in people reached. Over 25,991 people have been reached through our Facebook page.
Good.
Yep. Our post engagements are up 58% to 8,699. And our page likes are up 264%. So I think it's a really good way, that a tool that we're utilizing more often. And obviously it's reaching a lot more people much quicker.
Mm-hmm.
And the engagement of parents through our Parent Square app has blown up. So I think all these different ways to communicate are having a huge impact. But I think utilizing the social media, especially in this day and age, has really become effective. Tim does this as part of his other responsibilities. I was having a conversation with folks actually today. It would be nice, even on a part-time basis, if we had somebody that could be a marketing person for the district. I know it's not a topic that's really designed for this committee, but just in general, today I reached out because I utilize whenever I can Rowena White and folks on the city side from a media perspective when we really want to put out press releases and things like that. And one of the things that I wanted to do as soon as possible, maybe in collaboration with our new health director, Ebony, is a public service announcement to be proactive in regards to messaging to parents and to children about the dangers of fentanyl, as we saw in Hartford, a tragic death of a young person. So to get out in front of that. So these are some of the things that I think if we had somebody on staff, like I said, even part-time, would really help being able to showcase all the great things and all the positive messaging that we do here in Bridgeport. I don't think there's enough that it's obviously going up.
Yeah.
And I think being really strategic about this and spending some time, and Tim's been doing a lot of that lately, and we're going to try to make some adjustments in his scheduling and how we can compensate him to take on a little bit more. But obviously seeing these increases in engagement of the community is really encouraging.
I'm glad that you brought numbers to support that, because that's really important, especially on the social media side. Because I often follow, so I'm always looking, and I guess that's Tim that responds to the parents. So
Yes.
That's really, really good that, and I know he's probably busy, but just having parents feel like they're being heard, whatever outlet that we create for them, that they're being heard. And even if it's just simply saying, call our office, we didn't know about this, we'll handle this, I think is so important. So I know, Erica, Ms. Castillo, I'm sorry, I keep doing that, that one of the things that we try to do is make sure that through any type of marketing or social media or anything under what our committee can do to make sure we support the parents and invest in his best practices. So that's why when Mr. Testani mentioned the parent square, that was like a major thing of making sure that parents had access to information. They're not overwhelmed, but I know during the COVID times, they needed to be able to find information. I believe that's where they're going. They're probably not going to go to our website necessarily. They're going to definitely check our social media to be able to find out updates and information about the district. So I think that's really good. And I'm glad you're doing the Facebook Lives. And I think, we set to do a couple of them.
Yep.
Yeah, a couple of them throughout the months, just to keep them updated, even if it's simply, COVID updates for the most part. If it's not COVID updates, just keeping them in the loop and seeing your face, I think is going to benefit them as well, because we know they're not coming to all the PAC meetings. We know they're not coming to all the meetings, but they are on social media.
Yep. And I think this has been a real powerful tool, because as you mentioned, there are questions that are being posed. Tim will share those with me. He is very strategic and very responsive in helping guide people and answer questions. But also to give you an idea of our most recent update. So from January 3rd, Monday, to Sunday, January 9th, Parent Square saw 280 posts, 1,467 direct messages, and 2 alerts. So this is really becoming a powerful messaging tool that's being utilized throughout the district. And I'm happy to see that a lot of the folks that are interacting with our families are teachers. Mm-hmm. So teachers are really communicating more, and that's never happened before. Because other than in the old-fashioned way of a teacher on their free period, which is usually when parents are working, being able to return a phone call, they had really no other outlet except through, twice a year parent-teacher conferences, mm-hmm. or, whatever that they can send home if they have the time. Now it's instantaneous, it's back and forth. So I really commend the staff for starting to really utilize this and communicate well with families.
Awesome. Mr. Benahan?
Yes, thank you, Ms. Brown. Mr. Testani, and I'm very glad you're doing this festival live, and we talk here for years, you're doing this festival live, and I know you're a busy man, but for me, have a 232 view is good, but I believe, because when this happened, parents called me and said, I didn't know about the festival live. I don't necessarily receive notification. I like to be a part, stuff like that. I always say, it will be good that at least we have like a reminder to the parents, stuff like that, how we can do a reminder. I know the school of you, the district. Huh?
Parent Square.
I know, but remember, we got parents, they're not going to.
We posted on the Facebook page leading up to it as well.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, if it's a Facebook Live, we're hoping that the Facebook page itself is what's.
Not everyone use computer. Not everyone use the tablet. I know we got cell phone people that notification, and people that don't use the cell phone like me and you, us here. Some parents have it just because they need it. So my question is how they can notify, remind the parents to be more in your Facebook lives, because sometimes when you do that, they feel more free to, write you and set any question.
Parent Square gives you the options on how you want to receive notifications. So you can receive them in multiple ways. You can receive them through the app. You can receive it through a phone call. You can receive it through an email. So, I mean, and if obviously they have social media, if they're going to watch the live Facebook, they're going to have a device. So, I mean, we'll advertise it as best as we can. Hopefully that people will participate. Like I said, it's December I'm sure people were busy preparing for the holidays and everything else that was going on. And I also think it was a pretty calm time on December 7th. Mm-hmm. We hadn't really seen the questions being raised around the spread of the Omicron variant and things like that. So I'm hopeful that we'll get people more engaged, be able to give them more information, especially, as we do the next one later in the month.
You did one in this month?
Not yet, later in the month.
Yeah. If I could make a suggestion before I throw it to
sure.
Ms. Castillo and Mr. Weldon, because you mentioned the whole fentanyl thing, I think that would be something too, like if you could in your next report, like even just to raise questions, not raise questions, but any concerns, like whatever protocols we may have in line in case, or what parents should look out for, whatever the case may be. Maybe, I don't know how you feel about that, but.
On the COVID?
No, fentanyl.
Oh, yes, absolutely. I can include that in superintendent's report on, and that was something just brief informational.
It doesn't, yeah.
Because I think it is something that is associated more with possibly hardcore drug users. And I don't think parents are aware of the ways it's being throughout our communities in subtle ways and what it takes. I mean, it takes very little to kill somebody.
Correct. So that would be my suggestion. Mr. Weldon, Ms. Castillo? Any questions?
I agree.
Okay.
I did have one comment about the social media space. So I'm not sure if anyone knows what I do for a living, but I work in the marketing and communications office at King School in Stanford. And, there's a designated department for that. It's a private school. It's an independent school. It's a totally different animal in terms of, how things are marketed. But my role is the director of communications, and I'm responsible for content creation. So a lot of what I do is creating stories. I run the social media accounts. I take photos, and I do all the design work, for the school at large. The school is divided into 3 different divisions. So you have the upper school, the middle school, and the lower school, and I'm covering all 3 at once, and that's my full-time job. So not only is it my full-time job, but I have 2 colleagues, and the 3 of us make up the whole department. So I understand that this is sort of managing that and creating content at large is something that is the Bridgeport Public School System is newer to, but I would implore you to consider, Mr. Testani, the possibility of maybe creating a full-time position for someone to manage this on behalf of the district, because it is something that is effective in terms of reaching the community at large, and somebody's got to be managing it, responsible for it, producing content for it on a regular basis. And I mean, I do it for a small school across 3 divisions. I couldn't even imagine doing the work that I do for an entire, 30 some odd schools. It would be like a lot of work, So anyway, just some food for thought. There's definitely a need, I think, to have someone responsible for creating that content and and putting it out and measuring it and in a way that's strategic, and that's not like incidental, where it's like, oh, these things are happening, so let's react, rather than let's be proactive and get ahead of it, and having somebody sort of managing the messaging that's going out to our families. So something to consider. I don't know if we have the budget for that, but something to consider.
Well, we did at one time, many years ago, have a position that was cut from the budget, probably a little over a decade ago. There's a lot of needs, and that is definitely one that we recognize that we have, in addition to a number of other things. And that's why the budget itself and the funding that comes from our municipality needs to increase, so that the district itself can operate effectively and efficiently. And unfortunately, that's been one of the things that has gone away. And I think today it's needed much more than it even was 10 years ago. Because like you said, there's a whole new wave of strategy that goes to this, that you need somebody that has that expertise.
Right.
And we talked about this, Ms. Castillo, but at the time, a lot of the stuff that our district relied on was either from the city, as far as like putting out stuff and things like that, outside of the social media. So it's on our radar. It's just a matter of finding funds to be able to do it. Right. I think that's kind of why, as we were talking about it, that's why I'm grateful for the work that Tim does, but I understand, because my role is similar to what Ms. Castillo does. So we understand the workload.
Okay, you guys are high.
Yeah.
It's work, yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot of work. But that's something that, I think, as we, continue to see and look and advocate for dollars, how we can better support you and support our staff, so they're not being an octopus, and right. There can be a straight focus for this.
Yeah.
I'd love to see that.
Yep, Mr. Benahan.
Sonny, I have two questions for you. One of them, and what's the next step? If parents, they don't know how to use the parent square, like you said. And do we have another choice how to parents let them know? Do you be on Facebook Live? If parents, they don't know how to use the parent square, like you said. And my second one is, how long you were doing Facebook Live? You were doing monthly, every 2 weeks? So parents, they can know exactly the date, when you're going to do.
I mean, we're not going to do it every 2 weeks. I don't think there's really that much messaging that needs to be provided or information, but monthly is probably more appropriate. Certain months, obviously December, we did it. It was a long break. So we'll be strategic in scheduling it. I believe on the website, there is a link. And if not, we can have it. I know it gets pushed out. I would call the school, and any help in downloading and the Parent Square app can be provided through the school. So whatever school the child attends, parent can call, speak to the principal or the assistant principal or whomever to get help in working the app. Like I said, it's pretty simple to set up the app. It works, just like WhatsApp or any other the apps that folks like to.
Yeah. All right. Thank you. No more questions, Ms. Brown.
All right. I mean, other than that, I think we'll keep updated whenever your next one is. And then, if you guys have some different topics or things that you think that he could add to his report, I know that we'll have our full board meeting, but some of the things that I think that are plaguing our community, like we always say, get ahead of it. And you've done a great job at making sure that you try to tackle any issues or any things that are coming up that can be community related, because they affect our children. So
yeah, and if there's something during the superintendent's report that you'd like me to speak on that maybe I didn't think of, please don't hesitate to ask the question. I know Mr. Skolovic does sometimes. I know you all have done that, but continue to do that. It may not be something that when I sit down to kind of see what do I want to report out on, I may think of at the moment, but we are doing that, we're doing. So, or, people may want to hear of. I'm more than happy to answer the questions.
Definitely.
I feel more comfortable in being able to be more in a dialogue than just reporting out and giving out information.
Definitely. Any other questions, suggestions?
No, I have something to say, and this is not part of the agenda, but I want to be sure this is for the record and be clear as there, John. The parent texted me, told me why Mr. Testani is in the cell phone. He's not. I want to be clear. No, I want to be clear that he's taking note. He don't have an iPad like us. He's taking note. So I don't like people text me, oh, he's not interested, he's not listening to our meetings. No, he's not. So I want to be sure it's in the record because I don't want people, they don't know what.
I do have an iPad that I left in my office, but.
Yeah, but I just want to be clear that because people, they think they're not, you taking note, and I understand that because I know you not have an iPad. So I want to be clear that.
And that's the same for me. I'm doing the same thing on.
Yeah.
But what I want to say is, I'm very happy, just from chairing this committee, just as, just the insight that we've created so far. I think this is really great. I'm really glad to have Ms. Castillo a part of it as well, because it's always good to have a fellow colleague in this work as well. But also to Mr. Benahan and Mr. Weldon for just sharing your different insight. I think it's really great. And as we continue to brainstorm, I'm really excited to see the work that we'll create, but also too, one thing that we talked about, Mrs. Tastani talked about, something that you leave behind that, you're not always going to say, well, 10 years from now, I had a part in that, but it's a good feeling that, the mark that we leave as far as like a logo or the branding of the whole entire district, how important that can be, years later. So I'm excited to see it as well. And great job, everyone. I think this was really great.
I believe we're working as a team.
As a team.
Yeah, I'm learning a lot about branding and marketing. I mean, it's helpful. Not my area of expertise as an educator, but you guys really have kind of given me some things to think about as we walk away tonight. So thank you for that.
Definitely. So other than that, I would like to entertain a motion to adjourn our meeting.
So move.
Castillo?
Second.
I think maybe she tapped out. Well,
We can't hear you.
Oh, sorry. Can you hear me now?
yeah.
Okay, I said I have one more thing I'd like to add. So.
Sorry. We didn't hear you.
It's okay. I was on mute. Anyway, so I wanted to say, because I was thinking about Albert's suggestion earlier, and this is a much later project, but I remember I came to City Hall, and there was artwork that was featured in the lobby there, like student artwork. Is that correct? So maybe when this process is all said and done and we have our final product and our new logo, we can create a gallery there, a temporary gallery for a period of time featuring all the logos that the students created, so that we can show how the students were part of the design discovery process and part of the development of how we accomplish the final goal of producing a final product. So that's just an idea.
It's a good idea.
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
I agree with that. I second it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And just to add to that, I know the city does do a good job at highlighting. I know during the Christmas tree lighting, last couple years ago, they blew up the students' artwork and put them on these really big boards, and the kids got a chance to walk away with them. I thought that was really cool. And I don't know if that was just a seasonal thing that we did.
No, they did that for periodically throughout the months. So there was billboards that were over by the arena that the artwork was chosen, was featured. I'm not sure if that will start up again. I'll inquire about that because I know they invested a lot in being able to help showcase artwork of our creative students. So
definitely,
I'd like to see them do that some more.
It was nice. Yeah. It was good.
So I think we can definitely seek on both ends. Being able to highlight them in best all ways as possible.
Yes.
But other than that, I would like to try it again. Entertain a motion to adjourn our meeting.
So move.
So moved by Mr. Benahan.
Second by Ms. Castillo.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any abstentions? Any abstains? Hearing none, meeting is adjourned. We'll see you all next month with new ideas coming from Mr. Testani on the people he seeked.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
God bless you all.
Great meeting.
Thank you, guys.